Yes.
That's, everybody's, paid time off.
Where are the diets?
Over, so I need to make this.
Do you have a certain criteria on carryovers, or do you just do whatever's on the books?
It's,
Oh, boy.
it's whatever's on the books. You have, whatever your carryover is, you have to use by the end of the following year.
Okay.
And you can't carry over more than, I think, 348 hours of sick time, something like that. Nobody's got that.
Okay.
But other than that,
Your 2-minute warning.
so Bob signed off on his,
And already they gave me a flash.
because he's the department head, so if he checks theirs, I just need you all to sign off on everything.
Okay. And who does this?
He doesn't get any.
We didn't get any anymore
No.
since we retired.
Right. Two weeks. He's requesting to see the board in 2 weeks. That's it, I think the rest of it's good.
This is for,
That's
John?
Yes, and, he knows it's here, he's gonna call them both. Technically, I get 5, that's the county
I think
budget.
Mike wanted to read those. Did you want to read the county one? Yeah, he wanted to.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, 6:30. It is 6:30, call to order. The February 4th, select board meeting for Heather Rollins.
okay. That's all right.
First order of business is the approval of minutes of January 28th. Are there any additions, subtractions, edits? Any? You go with them, Denise?
Yep, Vic
All
fixed it.
right, all right, so by consensus, they are adopted. Community input. Seeing none at this time, we will hear from the highway department. Road agent, George, come on up.
I had a couple hydraulic lines I needed to replace because it was leaking over a crack on one of the plows. So we had them made and it came in over $200 unfortunately.
This for the 2008.
Yeah, I think that one. It's $247.07 to make Lordy was making the hydraulic lines and the associated fittings.
Alright, I will move purchase order 1561 to make bodywork and truck repair for $247.07 for hydraulic hoses.
Second?
Waited to ask my question. So this is the truck that's on the,
Yeah,
to be replaced via the warrant if it passes? Okay. So how is it driving now? The hydraulic lines have been,
Oh no, that's, those hydraulic lines, this is just on the plow.
this is just for the plow?
Just the-
This is not for,
Right,
the
the
truck?
truck's in the shop now, they're diagnosing it, we haven't got no answers.
Oh, so that's a separate issue then? Oh,
That's
okay.
correct, that happened during the storm,
I got
had a
you,
broken
okay.
line.
So it's still there, all right, then never mind, I'll wait that.
That has nothing to do with
Okay.
that other issue.
I'll wait then. Any questions on purchase order 1561?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
I called them this afternoon, they were still looking at codes on the computer and seeing what might be causing what.
That's what happens if we have a big snowstorm.
We will do it with other equipment.
Okay.
Might be a little slower getting the sanding done because we're down a truck, but we will get the plowing and stuff done for sure.
I don't think it's in the near future, but
Is he taking back, we keep that
we
number?
don't,
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that, so on that truck, it's a fuel issue, it's losing its prime, it stalls, and we started with ether. Unfortunately, I hate using ether to start the truck, but it runs for about 2 hours and stalls again. So it's getting air somewhere in the line or might be a rust or something they're trying to figure out what that is, or worst case scenario, a fuel injection pump, which will be costly, not knowing how much.
Mhm.
Hopefully it's just a couple fuel lines. We had transmission lines replaced on it because of rotting, so if it's a fuel line, hopefully it's that.
Okay.
We had some flooding issues by the Legion,
Yes.
and some washouts that we have taken care of.
Addition to the another one?
Oh, when we had the flash floods last week there, or whatever the heck, a week or
Okay.
two ago.
Mhm.
Oh, the night we were supposed to have I was supposed to be here for a meeting on stormwater. Yeah, we were handling stormwater.
Right.
Yeah,
So is this related to the culvert behind the Legion?
that's a good part of it.
Okay, so,
And we actually had washed out along the road, that washed out about 12 inches of gravel on the parking area side, but we brought in a couple of loads of gravel and we got that all filled in. And
okay,
we also had washouts coming down the sidewalk, because the ground was frozen, the water had no place to go, so.
right,
And we had water issues at a house on River Road, on Woods Run.
okay,
Again, it's caused by the ground being frozen, the water couldn't get to the culvert, and we just cleaned the culvert out and stuff, and the fire department went down, pumped the cellar out. But we helped them out, get it taken care of, so.
mhm,
But that was all, the ground frozen, the water had no place to go, it was making a pond in their yard, the closest to the house was not frozen, so the water was getting in
right.
the foundation
So
and stuff. But,
where do we stand with the culvert behind the Legion?
ain't much we can do with that until we get it looked at in the spring. I mean, the water's gonna, it's only gonna happen when we have lots of rain. And, you know, I cleaned out along the edge of the road again to try to get the water to run, but they piled the snow in the culvert, in the ditch, so it's not helping it either. So I cleaned that out, tried to alleviate a lot of it that night, but
Well, it was in the 50s today, it's supposed to be warm half the rest of the week, right, so,
there isn't much we can do per se for that water,
right,
you know.
okay,
It's gonna run across the parking lot and down, you know, they weren't getting water in the building, but we were getting the flash floods down along
right,
the driveway and stuff. It was about 6 inches of water coming across behind us. We actually closed the road for a while.
wow, okay,
Yeah, so, and that was washing out the gravel on the other side, so. But it also washed out about 200 feet of gravel coming down the hill,
Wow.
because the ditches aren't deep enough and, you know, something that we gotta do. And that should have been done when the road was built.
so in the springtime, you're gonna try to re-ditch there, or?
We'll try this, yes, and we gotta replace the culvert that goes up to the porta well. It's
Okay.
too small and it's too high, it's actually almost out of the ground. So the water's not flowing good enough to eliminate some of that problem.
And that's our culvert? Or we're trying to figure out all this, okay, it's not fair to ask you, okay. Any other questions for George about culverts?
Who's else? Would it be?
Well,
Water district?
there's a dam, I may have misspoke, so there's
Oh.
a dam that more than likely belongs to either the Legion or the Water District.
So,
That one there was a stormwater issue, I believe, that would be part of the town.
so it's complicated.
Mhm.
All the land behind the Legion, and perhaps even some of the pavement on the back of their property there, is on water sewer land up behind it. Everything behind it, along Locust Street and along Pine Street, that's one parcel contiguous with where Porter Well is at the top of the hill. It's all water sewer district land. The dam, though, as George is putting out, it's right along the side of the road. So whether or not that's, town infrastructure or water sewer land problem, I think is gonna be an ongoing conversation. But that's just part of it, the dam. But then the dam feeds, after the dam, the water runs down the hill and it's supposed to go into a culvert. The culvert would be ours, which is
I
collapsed.
guess I
It
was
feeds
confusing
into
the
our,
culvert and the dam then. Okay.
yeah,
See, the water
Yeah.
comes through the dam, there's a storm drain
Right there.
right below the dam and goes into a pipe. Well, it's going into the pipe, but the pipe is not making it to the next storm drain, it's coming out of the ground.
Okay,
So there's this, gotta get a camera in there. It's either blocked
right,
or broken, and it needs to be replaced.
but the dam, which is the water sewer district property, whether or not it's part of our infrastructure for stormwater, is not the problem, because they
It's
cleaned that
further
out.
down.
It's the further
Okay.
down the
All right.
collapsed pipe.
See, all these run into a culvert behind the Legion,
right,
and actually the manhole was bubbling out of the ground, there's so much water coming in.
Really?
Doing this, bus driver stopped me while I was closing Sligo Road, and she says, you might wanna get down by Legion,
Right,
the manhole covered bubbling up in the road, there was so
Oh,
much
wow.
water coming down the road.
yeah,
So,
wow.
This was today?
no, this was,
Oh, the
We had that
Thursday
big
night.
go
rain.
last Thursday night.
Okay,
Oh, not when we had the big rainstorm?
Yeah,
That was
the big
Thursday
rain,
night?
yeah, it was 10 days ago.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, it was significant, and of course, we had very significant flooding along Sligo again, but that's again because of the frozen ground and the cutlet hasn't been taken out, cleaned out, so more work that we wanted to do down that area.
Okay.
As far as we brought up about antifreeze transfer station,
Yes,
we looked into it,
okay,
something we could do, but
Yeah.
probably better that we don't,
okay,
because we can collect it, probably get rid of it for nothing,
right,
but if they stop taking it, it would cost us $2 and something a gallon to get rid of.
okay.
And I don't know if there's that much of a need in town for us to get involved with that.
That's what I was thinking too.
You know, I mean,
Okay,
it becomes,
so if, well, let's just play devil's advocate for a moment. There was one gentleman at least at the budget hearing who brought up that he
Mhm.
couldn't get rid of it in Dover, right? What does he do with it? That's the problem, right? He can't take it to our transfer station. I don't think this
Right.
individual is the kind of person who's gonna dump it on the
no,
ground.
and I don't either, but there's,
It may be the exception to the rule though, so.
What does a
I,
garage do with it?
that's, they have a company come in and pump it out, so.
Right.
So could,
But
They'd
they have
have to-
storage tanks.
They'd have to
Contract
pay,
maybe with
they
them?
probably could pay at the garage.
well, that's what I was
You know,
thinking,
I mean,
we have 2 garages in
We're gonna have to
town,
charge
maybe
if we take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe
or else it's
someone-
gonna be not cost effective.
Like, we can make a
So
common
maybe
agreement.
we
with
can-
them that
We can check with Paul's and see if he might be willing to,
There's also Rogers too,
Yeah,
you know,
I
I
mean,
mean, I don't know.
yeah.
You
When
know,
one on-
if they're
where
collecting
Rogers
it
to
for
do
themselves,
that.
they may be
I just thought
willing
he was closing down. I thought he was getting ready to retire, Rogers, wasn't
Well, his son's running.
he? Okay, so he
Yeah,
took it
yeah.
over, okay,
His
well.
son is.
Oh, well then, okay, then fine.
I don't
But
know.
it's possible, I mean,
But,
it's
you
just
know,
a
and
possibility.
I'm sure they must have
Yeah.
to, they must be getting rid of antifreeze somewhere.
Right, well, let's hope, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you
But
know,
if they, you
it's
know,
like waste oil, you know, they gotta
Right.
get rid of waste oil, I mean, it's,
well, Roger does take it for, I believe.
Right, he
for
does.
his, burner.
right, and that's,
Yeah.
that's what, I think
Mhm.
they've been taking it there from the highway
Mm-hmm,
department.
mm-hmm,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we can
Wentworth,
check with
or the
them.
company that took over Wentworth, the oil recycling, is willing to take it for us because they're in town.
Okay,
But again, it becomes an issue, you know, we have to store it, we have to take it from the public, and if they decide they don't wanna do it no more, it's gonna cost us.
right. Okay, maybe we'll check with, with some of the local garages and see if they might be willing to.
And they certainly can charge them, I mean,
Sure.
that would be their right, because they have to dispose of it, but maybe they can just
They
be
have
a
to
drop
pay,
off
they have to
station.
pay a minimum of $1.50 a gallon to get rid of it,
Yeah,
so. It's, we looked at it, and we know, and we could set up, you know, a couple 55-gallon drums and put antifreeze in one and the other, but then you're putting stuff
And
in.
what happens if it gets contaminated too, right? If
If
it's
it
not
does get
pure
contaminated, then
antifreeze.
it ends up going to a lot more money to get rid of it.
Right, right, then
I'd
we're
rather stay out
stuck
of it.
for it, yeah.
That's where our thoughts were.
yeah.
All right, so, can we check in with
Will do.
the different garages in town, see if anyone willing to work with us?
So did Dover used to take it for
Did
Rollinsford
they
residents?
I think so.
And we're still trying to get some answers on that, if they
Yeah.
can take
Well,
that.
it was, I remember being on the list, right? They used to give us a list of all the different things. I thought
I didn't think
on there,
antifreeze,
but
I didn't
maybe
think
not.
antifreeze was on any of the hazard, when we did it, Bill, antifreeze was not part of it.
Oh, maybe
And they
not.
started collecting it at the time, at the transfer station in Bill, they got a drum, they do it.
They do. Hmm.
But, you know, they have a lot more garages, a lot more people changing their oil in town and stuff, that they wanna get rid of it too.
All right,
I mean, we had, what, one call, one person asking?
right.
You know, it's, most people ain't working on their cars no more. Because the cars are so confusing to work on. I mean, if you don't have all the equipment, you know.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else for George tonight? That's everything on, oh, so we have posting of roads. We kept saying we wanted to wait until after, deliberative session was after, so we can start talking about it.
I didn't know if you wanted to look into that Dover, you know, the limits you're talking about, yeah, I mean, I still think it's worth looking into, I mean,
I think we should have a meeting of the highway
Safety committee,
safety
sure.
committee too, because we brought it up
Are
there.
you're both on it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, bring it up there and see what they think.
Yeah, I'll send a note to
yeah,
Chief
I was,
Ducharme.
and I think Bob was pretty much in favor of doing the same as,
He was, so we discussed a couple of different things. Posting the roads that are likely to get this sort of thing, so Foundry Street, Bear's already posted.
yeah, or make an ordinance that
Yeah, but
restricts heavy
that
trucks.
gets more complicated, because we can't go stick a sign out on Route 4, because it's not our road. But,
Right.
not that we couldn't.
Silver Street's not ours, either, Rollins Road, not ours.
Right, most of the roads into town.
No, and those roads, you couldn't, you can't post them roads anyway.
Yeah.
You can't post them, but if you put an ordinance at the town border stating that all local roads are posted for 26,000 pounds or less, except for local deliveries, like Dover did, they have that coming into town, they have it on Reynolds and they have it everywhere, all you know,
Right.
roads except for non-posted roads. I mean,
Local deliveries.
right, local deliveries.
But all your roads coming into town are not our roads.
No, and you can't do anything about the state roads, you can't touch the
No,
state.
no, but you're saying posted on it coming into town.
You must be able to put something, there must be town property somewhere at the border that we could put a sign at, or even ask the state, you know, about putting a sign at our border. But it's, you know, as long as they see it when they're coming into town, and they see there's an ordinance in place about posted roads, you know, a load limit on your roads.
I have no objection to the highway safety committee looking at it.
Yeah, would an ordinance require town,
Not for roads,
not for roads?
roads and there's only very few things that we're allowed to change without town meeting approval. Like the transfer station, one of them, because it was set up that way. And the legislature gives us authority to deal with, you know, public ways of conveying.
I mean, it's just some way, you know, lessen the burden on,
I mean, you can post it all you like, but
right.
they still
the
do it. I
enforcement
see
issue,
it.
Oh, yeah, and they
Every
do it in
single
Dover,
day.
I mean, but
I bet you do.
Yes.
But if they can, if they do see him and stop him, they have the ability to give him the fine.
Yep,
Right. All right, well, yeah, I would say,
yeah.
are you the chair of the,
I am, I don't know if I'm supposed to still be the chair, but I am the chair of that.
well, you will be
committee.
until March at least,
Right,
until after the election.
Yep.
And then you can have a reappointment.
but
Someone else can do it
I
then.
didn't think that the ex officio could be the chair, or is it?
Right.
No, they're not supposed to, you're the ex officio, so
I
who's
think
the
it's
chair?
Isn't it Bill Whitmore?
It was me, because,
Oh, before you were on the board, oh, I see what
Yes.
you're saying, I didn't realize you were on before, Miles.
yeah, I think we met.
Oh, thank you for your past service.
Yeah, we only had one, we had one meeting, I think.
We had one meeting. We'll get it straightened out.
Maybe you could send an email to Bob and ask him if he would just call it as, or you could just call the meeting as, the first meeting as an ex
Yeah.
officio and say we need to elect a chair, seeing that I'm no longer, that could be part of your agenda.
Yes. We can, yes.
That would be good. Bill Irvin's on it and is Howard Hammond still on it?
No, I didn't know the other
Well, Howard
gentleman.
wasn't there, I don't think.
Howard wasn't there, he resigned.
Oh,
Mike
okay.
Gillis.
Mike,
Mike
Mike
Gillis,
Gillis.
okay. All right,
so
Alright.
hopefully one of those two will
Mike is good.
agree.
Not Mike Givens, Mike
Oh,
Gillis.
Gillis, then I don't know who that is.
good guy too.
He is also a good guy, yeah.
Okay.
All righty, perfect. Anything else for George? All right, well,
I got one question.
oh, sure, of course.
Do we do anything on the internet?
Oh, okay. I'm not
Looks like a
remember-
no, George.
No,
It's
I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head. I believe it's cheaper.
Yeah, it's,
I'm believing it's cheaper. What he's asking is, can the highway department switch over the internet to Comcast and get rid of their Wi-Fi?
Right, I thought we
So
already
they both
discussed this.
utilize
And
it.
we
We did
looked at
discuss-
it, it was cheaper, right? to do it
Right,
that
and so it was budgeted for this, and he's just looking for the blessing to go ahead and
Oh, we
do
don't
that,
have a
which is.
budget yet.
Well, but it's cheaper than the budgeted amount
Right,
that
but
we
yeah,
were
because
it's
we're
using.
giving
cheaper
up,
now.
we gave up the
Oh,
phone,
oh, it's cheaper.
and we already gave up the
Because
phone
he gave
at
up the phone,
the
yeah.
transfer station and tied it into our,
Okay,
and then
so
given
it's
up
fall
the,
within the default budget.
Yeah, so until,
Do it better either way.
until the election in March, you're allowed to spend money at whatever level you would have, like contractual stuff.
And this is less than that.
Right, so,
So go for it.
Yeah, I mean,
it'd be saving money.
we get online and it just boots us, you know, a lot of times because it's Wi-Fi. I mean, it's internet to the cable,
Mhm.
I mean, to your telephone,
Mhm.
so we lose our internet a lot.
But it's gonna take them a little time to get to you anyway, so
I mean,
you
we
might
have
as
the
well just
cable.
make the appointment and,
We have the cable already into the building, so it's not a case of,
oh, okay,
Do they have to go down there? That's just, which, well, they'll tell us now.
yeah.
Is there any objection to
Mm-mm.
Caroline working on that with George? All right. Anything else
I don't think so. I'll give you answers on it, I'll email you if,
on the truck?
on the truck as soon as I get something on it,
Okay. Well, here's hoping
and
it's,
hoping it's minimal.
because we need it, and if we,
I'm not,
if we are gonna move forward
I
with
mean, we could,
selling it.
we could run it, you know, I mean, just how long is it gonna, how many times it's gonna take before it doesn't start?
Yeah.
Right.
That's,
And you're starting with ether, you said?
yeah, and that's something you don't wanna do too often.
All right, it's probably not very safe, right?
Well,
To be
it's,
doing it.
it's okay, it's just that it's not a recommended practice with really people, you know, they used to have to start in that way quite a bit back in the day, but
Right.
with the new electronics and stuff, you try to avoid doing that stuff.
I don't want anyone getting hurt, so.
Yeah, so, yeah, it just keeps running out of fuel for some food. It's something, it's gotta be something, maybe a bad oil, fuel filter, they changed them and, you know, it's maybe something simple, but,
Simple as that, wouldn't that be nice?
yeah.
But it's been there a couple of days, right?
Huh?
It's been there for a little bit, right? So you would think it was, that's
Yeah,
it.
I mean, the filter's been changed over a couple of months before this
No, I
started.
meant the truck's been over there for how, since?
Oh, no, I just dropped it off this morning.
Oh, today, oh, okay.
Yeah, we took the plows off it, so you gotta take all the stuff off so you can open the hood.
Oh,
Plow, you gotta drop the front plow frame and everything, so it's not an easy process, so. We'll get it looked at and we'll go from there, but, like I said, I don't wanna do it too long before.
All right, well, keep us posted, please. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Chief, come on up.
I bet you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry I missed you Saturday.
Are you?
I'm glad to be on there.
Were you not feeling well? I'm sorry, we're not.
Yeah,
No.
since last Wednesday.
You had that flu?
I'm down with the flu, yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my turn, so.
So,
Well, it was what it was, so.
I'd like to introduce to the board Mitchell Brooks, our recent hire. Mitchell, we have Mike Rowe, he's the chairman.
Nice to meet you.
Denise Knowles,
Nice to meet you. Welcome.
Miles England, and our new town administrator, Caroline. as you-
We met, hi there.
If you would, just tell the board a little about yourself and how you got to this point.
Yep, so I grew up in Berwick, Maine. My grandparents live in town, so I grew up in town, the area. Went to college at Southern New Hampshire University, bachelor's degree from there. I went on, I worked for the Rochester Police Department for a year, and now I'm here.
Your grandparents live?
General Sullivan.
Oh, they live in, they live in
Oh,
Berwick.
yeah.
I thought you said they lived in Berwick. I was like, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Who are they? I grew up on
Roland and Judy Carr.
Oh, yeah. I was their paper boy for 16 years or so. I don't know.
It's a very
I
small
was gonna say how
world.
many years ago? 2 years ago, right?
Very good.
Great,
Well, welcome.
Awesome, welcome aboard.
yes. So you, has he already started, or not until we
Today-
signed?
Today's the first day.
Today was your
he
first
started
day,
training.
all right.
But I do have one more form that we need to have the board's hiring authority signature on. And this is a Form E, which just indicates that we are looking for certification based upon his prior training and certification with the academy.
Send you back there. So you don't need to. I'm sure you probably don't wanna go back if you don't.
Now, you went to the academy with Sean, right?
Yes.
At the
yep.
same time?
Yep, same thing.
Who has he been training with so far?
Me.
With you? All right, well,
Right at the top.
you started, I was just gonna say.
For the first couple, it's gonna be a
started
split shift until we get through all the rules and regulations. And then for a couple hours, he'll ride with Will. And then once we get through all the paperwork part, he'll strictly be with Will for the duration, so. I would like to schedule with the board either next Monday or the following Monday, depending on your schedule, so that we can do a swearing-in ceremony.
Wonderful.
And I'd like to have the board participate in that, present him with the badge,
Yeah.
so we can invite family and friends and whatnot. So whatever schedule works best for you, either next Monday or the Monday afterwards.
I'm thinking next Monday might be better,
Okay,
if that's, if it works for you
sure.
and for you.
I'll be here anyway.
Okay.
And is that gonna be up here?
Sure, right here, yeah.
So
Shall we plan for like 7 o'clock for that?
I said, you want to do it at the beginning of the meeting, whatever is easier for you, I mean, we have guests coming, or,
Family, yeah.
so, whatever, we're flexible, we can, we've made it through the deliberative session, so it's, it's all easy
First,
sailing now,
yeah,
so it's, or
Well,
easier, I
that's
guess.
good, that's good.
Yeah. So we
Well,
can do-
we'll be here for 6:30,
Okay.
so if you want to get, other stuff out of the way
Make sure
first,
we
and then.
put that on for the first thing
Yeah,
on the
we can do
agenda.
it first.
Perfect, before we do anything, we'll do that.
That's all that I have for the board tonight, anything for me?
Hey, I wanna go into non-public, talk about personnel for a moment, I'm sorry to make you have to leave for a second, but,
All right.
well, but congratulations, it's wonderful to have you on.
Tell your grandparents I said hi.
I will, certainly.
And we'll see you next week, just where you went, all right?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so I need a motion to go into non-public for personnel.
So moved.
Second?
All right, roll call, Denise?
Yes.
Miles? All right.
We seem to be
so
good.
Finished up with the police, the fire may be in, I don't think the building inspector's not coming in tonight, right? So
That is,
he's gonna send us an email, an update on,
yes, we got
it's
that.
not here yet, that's okay, he's gonna send us an email update on the progress over at the junkyard on Somersworth Road, so we will stay tuned for that. Fire, we're waiting to see if he comes in tonight, if not, that's okay, we'll talk to him the following week. On to town administration, the deliberative session, the first deliberative session for the town has gone past. We survived. Next thing on our agenda is the report, the town report. I'm halfway through the select board's report to the town. I need to send it over to Caroline, who's gonna go through it, and I'll send it to both of you to go through, or I can send it all at the same time, actually.
When is it due?
Well, the actual report is due on, the town report is due.
I believe it's March 5th,
Okay.
it's pretty
So-
soon, but we have another, week or week and a half that we can still submit things and play with language.
We're getting the reports in from all the other committees, that's the
Yes.
real thing of chasing those people
Is,
around,
Who's gonna do it for planning board?
That's a really good question, and I,
John, you, me,
maybe we can talk about that.
so, by committee,
by committee, well, we were all chair.
right? Everyone got a turn.
Well, I guess
so-
John didn't become chair until
Yeah, that's not fair.
19.
Dear John, this is yours now, you're probably not the fairest thing to do to someone, so. You two are gonna, work on it together then, there weren't a lot of cases in
No, there weren't a lot.
No.
2018, were there? I mean, there were.
Sarah keeps, well, I mean, the minutes reflect it, but Sarah usually has keeps a running tally.
I've been looking at past reports, and this one, I don't think I looked at this just, I didn't have it online, but they run the gamut between really detailed to
Mhm.
pretty sparse. I don't know what this year's looks like, but. So, yeah. Wow, this one was submitted by the former chair.
Oh,
So it talks about, it's what it should do, it goes by month and it talks about what happened, so there wasn't a lot going on in 2017, so. but it's- So I don't think you had a whole heck of a lot more in 2018, but maybe a little bit. So, doable, I guess is my point.
yeah.
Is the clerk going to send us, will send us a proof of what she works on so we can take a look at it? The
So-
biggest thing is the elected officials.
Yes, it is, and she and I were working on that today. She's going to the printer, I think, tomorrow, just to start talking about layout and such.
Perfect.
I think we have the elected officials under control. I would always like more eyes to see it. That one is not in the drive, but I did share with you this afternoon,
Okay.
the town report, all the individual reports in the drive. They're little,
Oh, they're there
they're
now?
separate folders.
Oh,
I'm waiting on a few, but what we have is in there, with the exception of Kate's stuff,
That's fine.
the elected officials.
So, a couple of weeks ago, Charlie Dion made a suggestion, as I was going back and looking at old town reports.
The holidays.
Town holidays
Yes.
used to be printed on the, either this page, inside cover, or one of the pages in the very first few pages. And I think it was a valid point. If it's a town holiday, clearly the town hall and the transfer station wouldn't be open that day, so people would understand, so they, be one less excuse as to why they don't know. So
Yes.
He brought up, and I think it's a
So,
good, valid point.
She added a sentence on the page that has all the office hours that says that the town follows all the federal holidays.
Yeah.
So there's that, but for this year, it's not going to be a problem, but it does get complicated, you know, potentially for future years, and we have to be careful, because if there's a holiday that falls on a Saturday,
Mhm.
the transfer station will be closed,
Right.
but the town office will be closed on that Monday. So
Ah,
it's hard to make
okay.
it really simple.
Right,
So-
right,
So
right.
will the transfer station won't be closed on Monday, but they'll be closed on Saturday?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh. Is that always, or is that by choice, but based on holiday?
That was a policy that was set, I don't know how many years ago now, 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh,
You know,
oh, it's a
because it's
policy.
the actual
Yeah.
holiday, like, it makes sense that they would be like closed for the actual holiday. I suppose you could tell them that they'll follow the town holiday. In either way, it has to get addressed, and it probably isn't gonna
Yeah.
get resolved for the printing of the report. So for now, it says we follow the federal holidays.
And then I think the only reason we changed it because it was such an uproar by folks wanting to use the transfer station.
Well, Saturdays is the busier day.
Yeah.
But all
so-
federal holidays, if it's on the weekend, are celebrated on Monday.
What if
Except
it's
Veterans
Jan?
Huh?
Except Veterans Day.
Veterans Day,
It's always on the
4th of
11th,
July.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the only one, yeah, that's the only one.
4th of July.
But if it fell on a Saturday, they would get Monday off, because they don't work Saturday. They get Veterans Day regardless, so if it's on the weekend, they're gonna get the Monday.
So,
Okay, so,
They get all.
all right, so maybe
I'm
we don't
just
put
saying
it on the
that's-
inside cover then, I don't know. I thought it was a good idea, but.
it is a good idea, and I like the front cover idea. We could do it for this year. We could just have to be careful about going forward, that we make sure that we're consistent and we're not contradicting ourselves, you know?
Well, if we're nothing, we're consistent. so.
I'd like to make sure the CIP gets in there too, because that wasn't in there last year.
What's that? Where is that?
CIP, it's not in there. CIP,
As a committee, like as a?
no, the
Report,
report,
okay,
the
that's right.
spreadsheet.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
it didn't make,
No,
Well, so
I didn't see it.
I think it's hard because it's big.
It's big, yeah.
So making it legible in there
Yes.
would be really challenging. So we could, you know, delete some columns.
Well, there's no bigger than the trust fund one, right?
depends on how many years you go out, I guess.
Well, you're
Yeah,
only gonna do the active 10.
oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Well, that's why I thought
right?
it was in there.
I didn't see it.
There's,
Well, we were just-
Yeah. We looked, we both looked, right?
Yeah, I don't think it is in there,
Well, that's not good.
but I think
But it
it's,
could be very much just like this one.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
That's why I
it
just
wouldn't be
assumed
any
it was
bigger
in
than
there.
that, it might be
Right.
wider. The 10,
oh, that one?
the road plan, it wouldn't be any different than that, it might be taller.
Okay,
Yeah.
Can't hold that.
I'll see if we can format it.
Or the other one was the trust fund one,
Yeah, that's,
that was a little
that's
more
back here somewhere, see how
small,
weird it
I
was.
mean,
But it's
to read,
tiny.
but.
Well, so the other thing is that the 10-year road plan, which you were just showing me, and the CIP need updating, and the board should approve them before they're.
yeah, so I've been working on it and I got myself thoroughly confused with it. I'm meeting with Caroline tomorrow to hopefully get it sorted out, but
Okay.
Okay,
it's sorted out in my mind, so I'll bring it back next
So-
week and.
we can have it.
We can put it on the agenda for next week,
Yeah.
that we approve,
Sure.
that you all approve the 10-year road plan.
That works for me.
Okay.
All right, so anything else we want to talk about on the town report? Next we have budget committee secretary posting. We've sent it to the two applicants over to John Ordway. We're waiting to hear back from him to see who he'd like to interview, or who he's interviewed, or how he'd like to proceed, if he doesn't want to accept either of them, or how he wants to proceed, basically, so. Oak Street right of way, the continuing saga of Oak Street.
So this is about the proposal, the application in front of the planning board for 2 non-conforming lots along the railroad tracks. So tomorrow night is the planning board meeting,
Oh,
and John Krebs would,
we're meeting the planning board tomorrow night? It's the school deliberative session.
it is, but the planning board never
We never
rescheduled.
rescheduled.
Yeah,
All right,
so the deliberative session, I believe, starts at 6,
Yeah.
so you've got almost an hour.
okay.
Yeah, I know,
I
I'd
need
like to go there
5 if I
too.
were you. Shovel some food quickly and then run to.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
So, it's not for the first step in the process, but our planning consultant would appreciate legal advice and permission to call upon legal counsel for later in this process, should this project get that far. The idea of what people can propose to do on lots that do not conform to zoning because they pre-existed zoning is not something that we've dealt with a lot before, and so he would like help with that.
So the planning board in the past has used John Radigan as their consulting attorney, because they like to keep it separate from the town's attorney, which is probably better because the town attorney's not a land use, doesn't
Yeah.
specialize just specifically in that, and Mr. Radigan does, so that's why the planning board like to use him in the past. So I would say we have money set aside for the planning board to hire consultants like that, so.
Can I ask you a question about that? So I went to try to look at it to see what, to get a visual of it. It's, when you're heading from Dover to going to Route 4, it's on your left, right? Right after the bridge, with a big barn is in the back.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then there's a house on the side. So where is it that they're gonna build?
Right
Proposing-
behind the house that's on the road,
Behind the house,
but along the railroad track. And they're,
but the railroad track is here, the house is here.
so you
There
go
are-
over the bridge.
Yeah,
And there's this barn,
Yeah.
and there's a house.
yeah?
And these are the 2 lots right there.
Oh, okay, but the railroad track is over here?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
all right. Okay, so they're proposing to build behind the house and then in front of the barn.
Correct. There are 2 small lots in between.
Do they own the barn?
No, I
Okay,
believe they only own these 2 lots.
so, okay.
That barn doesn't go with that house? Interesting. I don't,
Maybe
I
it does,
don't know. I
but
just
these 2
always
lots
assumed
are
they were the same
completely
property.
separate.
really?
Okay.
Really.
It's not very
And so
big.
the other thing that's complicated is that this is a right-of-way. It's not a road, it's not a driveway. I mean, they
Right,
are
it's a-
using it as a driveway.
It's a
but
deeded easement?
That's not clear to me, and I haven't read the application entirely, but
Right. But Krebs wants to talk to Radigan to make sure that,
that shouldn't get as
process
far as the planning board to really consider
Oh,
this.
so they're
that-
not, the application's not in front of the planning board tomorrow?
It is, but only
Of the
for
suitability question.
determining whether or not the site is suitable for the
how big are
purpose.
those lots?
That's
They
pretty
are,
good land there.
well, so the minimum lot size is 2 acres, because it's country residential. I don't wanna quote it exactly, but they're like maybe a quarter of an acre or something. They're not like super
Each.
tiny, but they're like, yeah,
So that they certainly don't make the cut.
for that district,
Cause then you
correct.
got wooded area, and then you got what, Dee's house, right? Right after that?
I'm not sure exactly what her house is,
Oh,
so
okay.
I wouldn't
But
wanna
there's
say.
wooded, yeah, okay, so there's wooded area, so then it would be in that wooded area as well as where they're gonna
Yeah,
propose to build.
it's,
I don't think there are woods there. I don't know.
It's like there's
it's
like 10 trees there.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, okay.
but you can't, if you stood there, you probably couldn't see through where the
Yeah,
next house is.
they're tiny lots now.
They're tiny lots, and they're also, like, there's huge slopage right here from the
Down to
back
the
of the
railroad
lot to
tracks.
the railroad tracks, and, you know, it's a
Chimbley
consideration of
built
the
all
planning
those on
board
those
if that's a
tiny,
suitable use for single-family home,
Yeah.
or at least, you know, maybe requiring some kind of barrier for safety, because that's
Yeah,
extremely
And
steep.
they're on a right of way.
Right, so an argument that may come before the ZBA and the planning board through this process is that because they predate zoning, that nothing about zoning should apply to them. You can argue against it,
mhm.
but I think that's where Mr. Krebs was looking for help.
I think we should reach out to Radigan, or he should reach out to Radigan so we have the best information moving forward. I don't think we wanna screw it up for the town or for the applicants. I mean, we want an even
fair and
fair process, sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, Miles, you're our planning board rep. I would say that we're in agreement that Mr. Krebs is authorized to reach out to Radigan.
So I think we should go through the process for tomorrow night, and we're only deciding the
The
suitability.
suitability, yeah,
And then after that,
okay.
if they determine it's not, then I think the
It's
process,
moot.
I agree with you. So if the planning board votes tomorrow night to agree that it's suitable,
yeah,
then you can let
Yeah,
Mr. Radigan.
absolutely.
Mr. Krebs never talked to Mr. Radigan.
Yep.
It may be helpful for ZBA as well, because the next step is ZBA, so ZBA may need help with this as well. I'm not sure, Charlie Putnam's probably not aware of the application yet, since it has to get through planning.
Sure.
But equally, I can think that they might want some help.
All right, well, good luck with that. And we have next. Space Needs Committee membership. So, we obviously clearly didn't move forward with the recommendation on the police/town hall. So, no time like the present to fire up the committee again and have them look at options again, including this building and perhaps anything, buildings behind us that might be possible, and other possibilities for that lot. I know on Silver Street, there was some concern about having the town facilities upstairs versus ground floor, I guess.
It's only one person's opinion, we can't really,
Well, what I was gonna say, are there other options? I know the chief had thought, is it duplex possible that we thought, something like that?
He was going to talk to the builder to see if that's,
I mean, I don't know if I would support that either, but I mean, I think there are possibilities we should be looking at. so.
that is a possibility. I'm not gonna say that it is or isn't possible,
Right,
but
I don't-
it's, it sounds like it's possible, and it was something that he was gonna go back to the construction company and confirm with them.
Okay. So we also need to see if folks want to stay on the committee, or if we want to add additional members. I think adding additional members might be a good idea. Just to help. I'm not the board rep, so I don't want to step on your toes, Denise, but there were folks that were concerned about the committee and the select board not looking at repurposing this building and what that would cost. There's a.
but that wasn't the charge though, you understand, right? That was not given to us as a charge to also look at this.
It was
when it first came in.
to look at the best alternatives, wasn't it, for the police department? I'd have to look up the.
Right.
So, we never got to, it sort of just started to go into one direction, and we didn't finish looking at all of the options, I don't think. We looked at, there was the notion that we were going to, I think it's my phone. There was a notion that we were going to rent out space in another police station. That didn't pan out. Then there was, what was the other notion that someone wanted us to look at? Contracting out to, the county, state police, Somersworth or Dover, right? I'm trying to think of
That did not work
none of that worked out either, right? So we looked into that, and we can say why it didn't work out. So I think people appreciated that, they understand, okay, well, they did that. And there's only so much time, I get that, so I'm not faulting you, I'm just saying that this is our new opportunity to look at maybe a different direction. We still have the information from Silver Street, that doesn't go away, so, and it's still a viable option. It's just, what does it mean to either have the police department stay where they are, and what would need to be done to this building to make that happen? I think we know part of it. And what would it mean if we took that red house behind us, that apartment building behind us, that's been for sale off and on over the years, and converted that to a police station or office space. I mean, that was what Banwell had looked at a little bit, didn't they, Caroline, I think?
Expanding in that way.
Expanding in that
You
direction,
can
but
expand
they
in
didn't.
either direction.
Yeah, I wasn't too keen on them as a firm in general, but it was what it was. So anyway, I think that might be useful to keep the committee going, or do we completely say, okay, that committee's done its due diligence, we form a new committee with a new charge? I mean, I'm open to whatever folks wanna do, but I think we owe it to both the police and the residents to continue looking at options. And maybe it's a fool's errand looking at these options, and we just automatically go back to the plan for Silver Street, but at least then we can go back and say, look, all of you folks that say we're fools for wanting to build there, we should be saving this building, this is why we can or we can't do it here. At least we have the answers.
Well, my opinion is that we maintain the Space Needs Committee membership, but we have subcommittees from that.
That's
Because
fine.
there's too much work for
Uh-huh.
4 people to do the work.
Yeah.
That is the bottom line.
I'm sure.
So I would like to see a subcommittee on what to do with this, and report back to the Space Needs, who then will report back to the select board. And then a subcommittee about possibly this, or, Silver Street or whatever, but we need the people to step up and help us, because it's not enough time to do it ourselves. So, I mean, that's what, because the Space Needs was myself, Bob, Bill Irving, and Kim St. Clair.
And Charlie.
And Charlie. I knew there was one other one.
Yeah, when I was on it, it was the same group, but the only people that showed up were Bill or Charlie, not always consistently,
Yeah.
myself and the chief.
Yeah, but, I mean, we wouldn't have the subcommittees report to us, and then that would give us
Mhm.
decisions of what we bring back.
And the committee, I think, would also need to have a deadline as to when to report back to
The subcommittees.
The subcommittees report to that
Yeah,
committee,
yeah.
and that committee reporting back to the
us.
select board,
Yeah.
because
Yep,
it was so, there was a lot of work that needed to go into it. And I
Yeah.
get a lot of moving parts, waiting to hear back from property owners, that didn't happen, all that.
oh, I know.
But it was given to us so late that,
Mhm.
I mean, we were rushed, right? So I don't want us to get in that situation again.
No,
If we're gonna move forward, if there needs to be bonds, I imagine a project of this size, regardless of what it is, would probably require, we need time to actually go through the process and do it right and not be rushed, so we don't miss things.
Well, I think we've all learned the lesson of what SB2 has done to us.
as in the
Everything is
whole
pushed
picture,
up,
right, everything
right,
is
so-
pushed up, and we have to start way earlier,
For sure.
To make sure that we meet all of our deadlines, and we know,
I mean, that's the other thing, I mean, it's sort of off topic, but it's not, I mean, we need to be working, we need to work out a schedule with the budget committee.
yep,
And
yep,
say, the way it worked this time isn't gonna work because we need to start a month or two before we
Yeah.
started this year,
Yeah.
so.
absolutely.
Everything is
Department
moved
head.
up at least 4 weeks, so.
at least.
Yeah, yeah, and making sure we have clear deadlines, and it's all documented, so we know,
Yeah.
like bonding, all those deadlines,
We have to have it so people, everyone who's involved knows it.
All right, we're all on the same calendar.
I can call a meeting of the Space Needs, and, I'm sure not one of them is gonna disagree that we need additional help, so.
So, Charlie mentioned to me on Saturday that he intended to resign
Mhm.
because he felt like it was in conflict with his
As
position
moderator.
as the moderator.
yeah, yeah.
So would you, so the next, I had sent out an email, you probably noticed, to all of the boards and committees, telling them who was up,
Mhm.
with the exception of this committee, because I wanted you all to weigh in on
Mhm.
what the new charge is and whether or not it was gonna be the same committee and all those things. Because you're pleading for more help, do you wanna, I was gonna put an email out to the public and say, volunteer for the following boards and committees and see.
I think you should probably email the existing board members and see if they want to be reappointed first.
I've done that, I've done
Did
that.
you do the Space Needs?
one though?
Oh, no, no, no.
That's what I mean, that's what I'm
Yes,
saying.
yes.
Reach out to those folks first before we
Yes.
start
Right.
a general call, because they're gonna be like,
Well,
well, I guess I'm not wanted
No,
anymore.
no,
Well,
that's
no,
And
no,
that's
no.
not the case.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly, yes, I will do that, but also to the public, because you want more members anyway.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
But
we
first
can
we're
do
gonna
both.
figure out, all right, how many members do we really need? You know, I mean, we wanna make sure we have enough people that can go in different directions and bring it in, so.
And if either one of you wanna take over my position, you're more than welcome to. I mean, I'm not, I mean, you certainly can.
What I also would like to see happen is we reach out to, we have a list, we have the minutes from the public hearing, right?
Mhm.
So folks that were asking questions,
Oh, yes, kind of like
perhaps,
the questions.
perhaps
and
those folks
people.
might wanna actually be involved. On
Mhm.
either side, I mean, I'm
Mhm.
not trying to stack it one way or another. I mean, if they were for or against or whatever,
Mhm.
if they had questions we couldn't answer, maybe they might be willing to give some time.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but at least we should ask them, so. All right, are we okay with that then?
Yep.
Easy little task to take care of. Well, you know, it's, the one good thing is we have more time this time around to start planning, so.
With the results of who's gonna stay and who's not, okay.
Alrighty, so next thing we have is the policy review, the welfare rules. We have an amended version of the welfare policy that you're going to email to us, Caroline, to take a look at, or is it going to one more revision first?
I would like to give it one more revision before I send it to the board,
Okay.
according to the answer to the following question, which is, does the board desire to still be the final decision maker with regard to welfare,
Mhm.
which is one of the things that keeps you meeting weekly and can hold up welfare? But it's your right and that's fine.
Mm.
Or do you want to delegate that responsibility in the guidelines? And the reason I say that is because the guidelines are very specific, so they need to be written one way or the other. So you don't have to decide that tonight, but you need to think about that so that I can revise it accordingly before you all review it.
So if we delegate, we aren't privy to what happens with welfare?
You're
It's-
always privy to what happens
Yeah,
with
okay.
welfare, you just don't have to take up a
Approve.
Monday night meeting about it,
Yeah.
or we can still meet and talk about whatever was decided, but it's not waiting for a Monday night to happen.
So would you
Yeah.
put a, like a dollar amount authorization? Or just authorization in general?
I would say authorization in general, just because I don't think that it would ever go beyond a certain amount, just because of the way that it's administered. That
That's what I was
people are,
thinking.
you know, people are never given a month's worth of rent
Mhm.
anymore, or if it is, they're on Section 8 and it's $250 or something like that. So I don't think it's going to be thousands of dollars at a time anyway, but I think you can also put in the guidelines, for example, that there's weekly or monthly reporting on whatever the expenses are, so that you're brought up to speed about whatever the cases are, whatever the needs are, without the decisions necessarily getting bogged down.
I'll have to think about it, but.
Yeah, you can think about it, it's,
So, do we have something in writing right now?
yes. And you're welcome to read it, it's
Yeah.
a lot of pages, it's a lot of reading. So I was trying to save your time until it was written one way or the other, but I can share it with you if you wanna start looking it over.
That'd be a good idea.
It might be clearer to me if I have it.
It's all
Yeah.
about process and
Yeah.
rights with regard to the law that says we have to do this. It's, the guidelines that we have are working copies that went through legal and got adopted in Rochester, Dover, Somersworth, Barrington, Portsmouth. They're all, like, all the area is operating on these same guidelines.
They can't shop from town to town and game the
Yeah,
system.
Right, so that everybody's getting consistent service and we all deal with things the same way. They all have, and Farmington, they all have either full-time staff dedicated to it or else dedicated staff. None of their boards are making these decisions, so it wasn't written that way.
Mhm.
Which is not to say that it can't be written that way, but there are comments. Suzanne went through and did a lot of edits and made a lot of suggestions, so that there are things that are highlighted, which reference RSAs that she is suggesting that we have town council review to make sure that those references are still up to date and accurate and necessary. But then there are other comments, which are really more for the board about, do you wanna operate this way or do you wanna operate that way? So it's not going to be an overnight review process. There's still a lot to consider in there.
So you can send it off to us, and we'll take a look at it.
So I will send it off to
I mean, I'm not ready to make a decision tonight.
I didn't
Yeah,
expect that you
so-
would be, I just want you to be thinking about that, because it's going to hold up your approval of the guidelines until
Right.
you decide which way you wanna go.
Okay.
Okay. All right, town administration, are we all set with that one? Sorry.
No.
I mean, I don't wanna cut off the conversation, but, town administration, board member activities, what do we have this week? We'll start with you this week, Miles.
So apparently planning, I really thought we moved it, but it's not on my calendar, so I don't think we did. I'll go to the school deliberative session first, and then here for 7, and
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Denise?
Well, I plan on being at the deliberative session tomorrow night, and we have recreation on Thursday at 6 here. And, I gotta have Wednesday off.
Yeah, I'm gonna go tomorrow night as well. And the historic committee met last week, so. I don't think there's anything else, but. Oh, yeah, I went to, did we talk about this last week? I can't remember. I went to the, Lamprey Regional, we talked about that, that was last week, so never mind. And the, Stratford Regional Planning Commission's meeting at the end of the month, but, so I'll go to that also. That's it? All right, how about, building permits? I don't know,
Budget committee.
it was, how, we should have deleted it.
Because you were going all the time.
Because you were going every week as part of the budget, as part of the budget process, I figured it was just easier to put it there as the
Yeah.
update, so. All right, what do we have for building permits?
Building permits.
Yeah, building permits, right.
I think this is 553 Silver Street, building permit 2019-006. 4,600 worth of work, fee $75.
75.
Yeah.
HVAC work. All right. Sign off on it. Been reviewed by Mr. Clark.
If you guys wanna approve it this way,
Yeah.
you haven't just formally adopted it.
Looking for my signature? Where'd you sign?
I didn't.
Oh.
I'm going to,
Oh,
I
do you
don't-
need a vote?
no, I meant to sign it, I just filled in it was granted and the date, it was good until, and I forgot to sign it, so you can go ahead and sign
All
it.
right, there we go.
Pass it back this way, and I'll sign it, and I'll send it over to Miles to sign it.
Okay, next up, building
Work
permit
tonight, sorry.
2019-007, 40 Jesse Doe Road. American Tower, looks like they are doing some upgrades to the tower to the tune of $25,000. The fee is $275.
You like those?
Yeah.
All right. And Mr. Clark has reviewed it. I signed it this time. I'm glad you said something. Thank you. That it?
That's it.
All right, my favorite folder for the night.
All right, I have a purchase order 1570 to B&B Offset Printing for the voter's guide for $354.75.
I'll second that.
Okay, purchase order number 1570 has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? They were lovely, they were bright green, I did not throw it away. I actually saw it. Going back this way.
I have the 2018 year-end paid time off totals of what they're gonna be carrying forward, and it needs to be signed by the chair. And Bobby signed his.
Oh, I get that. Hang separately, is there any objection to me signing one? You see, sorry, reading glasses, I can't look up. You reviewed it, and it's all,
Oh, yes, we
Okay.
created it,
all right.
yes.
Right there.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And then we have not signed the tobacco-free policy, which we all need to sign.
I'd be happy to sign that.
Wanna send it there and then come back here?
That way we can't lose it. That probably makes
Stick it in the
sense.
folder. Thank you. That's it.
That's it for the folders?
Mhm.
Wow. All right, so, we reviewed all the correspondence, we didn't have any?
That's it.
Wow, all right, community input. Celia,
Celia Leopold. So for the holidays, Caroline was explaining it, if a holiday falls on a Saturday, the transfer station currently closes, correct? So that they do not have to work the holiday, but town hall closes on Monday because they would normally have Saturday off, is that correct?
That is the current situation.
Okay. And then, is the CIP available to the public anywhere?
Not yet.
oh yeah. This year's is yes. That's part of the budget, but not,
Yeah,
the 10-year projection.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, me too. I think it was last year, or maybe the year before, Suzanne was talking about Stratford Regional Planning Commission. Having somebody who helped the town do planning, like she was talking about the village revisioning.
Yeah,
And I'm wondering if that shouldn't be part of the Space Needs Committee, or having somebody there, or at least help them think about what they need to think about.
was there, I don't remember, was there a charge from regional planning for that, or was that part of our dues, I don't remember.
I'm not sure for the revitalization idea of downtown, but we are dues paying members and we get some basic level of service for that. So
Checking with them.
we could certainly chat with them and find out what they think about that.
Anything else? All right, seeing none, by consensus, we'll go home at 7:44. Thank you all very much.